Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. And joining me to look ahead to Leinster's first match at the RDS this season is someone back for cap number 65. Hello to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
How are we? I just had onions in my lunch, so thankfully none of you can smell my breath right now. I hope you're well.
Hopefully, that's one bit of technology they never come up with over Zoom, though they're probably working on it. Okay, so we last, speaking of stinkers, we last spoke to you before the match against Glasgow. What did you make of it?
I was enjoying it for a while, to be totally honest. I thought things were working, and then all of a sudden, and it's one of my points we're going to talk about today. Like all of a sudden, it was a bit like me and Matt's paper two in the leaving cert. I just lost my way, and Glasgow took advantage of it. Like it's. I know in the season you need a kick in the bum. I'd rather it wasn't on day one, but let's move on and see how we get on this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We said everything we could in our rep pod. It's and I suppose the thing is, like you say, if you are gonna have a few losses, it's better to have them at the start of the season. I mean, we beat all before us for most of last season, and it's all about coming right at the end. So there's whatever needs to be worked on. There's plenty of time to work on it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time to look at our feature match of the week, which is, of course, Leinster v Sharks in round two of the 23-24 United Rugby Championship. It's taking place at the RDS Arena on Saturday, October 28th, kicking off at 4:55 p.m. TV coverage in Ireland is on RTE2, Premier Sports 1, and URC.tv. And as ever, you can find the full listings for the weekend on harpinonrugby.com. Just click the Rugby on TV tab. Leinster named their match day 23 at lunchtime on Friday. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right there in the screen, or for pod listeners, it's in the program notes. Now, Keego's picked out three Harpin points for us today, and the first is that Leinster are definitely in need of a win pretty soon.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's not a position, as you say, it's not a position we've been in that often in the last few seasons. But I just looked back at it as I was waiting on the team to be announced today. We've lost 3 out of 5. Now I know there's end of the last season, and La Rochelle is 1 point and blah blah blah. But it's rare that happens, and it has been rare that happens. So we're in the part of the season where we need things to turn around, and the squad that he's picked relatively similar to last week, but we do need a performance. I'm not massively worried about the win this early in the competition, but we need a 80 minutes plus message being sent. I think being home in the RDS is going to help. I think hopefully it'll be jam-packed and everyone will be loud and they'll play good entrance music and all that sort of stuff. But 3 out of 5 losses, let's start the fights earlier this season. That's a monster record. We should be far away from that. I'm changing after last week. So yeah, hopefully a performance pops in this weekend.
Yeah, the old Keego is back. No, but no, it's true, and you're a good point about the atmosphere at the RDS. It could really do with a good welcome from the crowd after all that happened at the end of last season.
Mm.
Okay, so we'll move on to your second point. We had another announcement of a different kind. One we knew was always coming, but it needed to be made official. It was on Johnny Sexton's Instagram page. He formally announced that he's finished.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you're the same as me, but the longer he left it, the more hope I got.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was kind of going, maybe we can squeeze another year out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was being very selfish and taking him away from his family again. But no, he put up a great message, and you could sense the regret in his voice or in his words and all that sort of stuff. But mixing that with the pride he had and what he did to that jersey, and again, much like we've said loads of times, we're not going to appreciate him until we're sitting down 5 years from now and we see the different people who have tried to step into that jersey, because it's all about leaving it in a better spot than you found it. And Felipe was on during the week. A lot of other players were on during the week talking about how the level he's brought that jersey to. And so look, the gauntlet has been thrown down to whoever steps in, whether it's Harry, whoever it is. There's a bit of time in Ross, all that sort of stuff. But like we mixed that with the news about Bundy as well, which came out after I sent you those messages. So it's a roller coaster of emotions today, Jeff. We've got Bundy till 2025, and Sexton is officially gone. So yeah, what a day.
Absolutely. And as to the actual Leinster team itself, it seems like their intention was to maybe have the same core 23 over the first few weeks of the season, because most of it's the same and the only changes are where there's injuries, but they are kind of significant changes. But on the positive side, it's great to see Michael Alatoa back
Yeah.
in the squad after all the scrum issues we had last week. We're gonna need some stability up there, and Barron did well coming off the bench, but unfortunately McKee was ruled out, and so he has to step aside, which means we have to call up a newbie. He's newbie. He's 28. Donnellan is coming up for Clontarf. I've put an article in the program notes about him from it was in the Irish Times earlier in the year about his career to date with Clontarf and just about his life in general. And he's going to get his debut off the bench, and it's a very inexperienced front row on the bench. Literally 2 caps between the 3 of them. We're gonna if we're gonna get the win, we're gonna need to probably put a score on the board early. And another big change for us is in the center. We've got Jamie Osborne coming back. He's going to be well now. Liam Turner has done really well for us, but there was a lot of line breaks through our center against Glasgow last weekend. So we're hoping that that's going to be shored up, and we'll be looking for a lot from our back 3 as well. Tommy O'Brien did really well. We need himself, Larmer, and Frawley to really kick in because we all know the danger that can come from a Sharks back 3 as well. So they want it to be a stable 23, but there's a lot of changes in key positions, so they really need to hone in from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I fancy the back 3, and we do love when Leinster bring players through. We do like the players to have a profile picture on all of these apps before they come through. With all due respect to Dylan, but no, again, it's a free shot for him, which is not necessarily a bad thing. He will get game time. It's good to show confidence and in the squads that are going to take the pitch. There are leaders in every aspect. In terms of the front row, second row. I'm just having a quick scroll through. Back row, leaders everywhere. And then you forget about the amount of experience Larmer has. But as we said at the beginning, we need a performance. I think if we go further into this competition, you know what I mean. As we sit on game 2, I'm not worried about qualification, all that sort of stuff. That's down the line. But the longer it goes with things like last week happening, you were talking about midfield line breaks. Part of that is indecision. Where are we supposed to be? And so he'll learn that lesson and come back stronger. No worries, he's a great player. But the longer stuff like that happens, the more people are going to fancy a shot. And there's nothing, there's still that big target on the back of that blue jersey, especially in the RDS. So that's where we as a supporters have to get in there, regardless of what entrance music they play. They should be playing Enter Sandman, but whatever they play, we've got to get up on our feet and make that noise, because the last couple of years, we've kind of been getting used to the landslide victories and things like that. This squad is there. They will need us more than usual. I do think there might be a bit between the ears that needs a bit of work on after last week, especially after the start we had. But it's great that the coach has kept confidence in as many of those people as he could, injuries aside, as you say. So you know what I mean. And the Sharks they're ready to rock and roll. You look at their front row, just in terms of beef, they're coming ready to go, ready to take a shot. And I whether we like it or not, our 1 and 2 they're going to just apply all the pressure on that side. And make Alatoa hold the whole thing up.
Yep, and so let's take a look at who's having a shot at us this week. It is the their PR people would want me to call them the Hollywood Bets Sharks. But apart from that, just now, I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. It just doesn't sound right. It's the Sharks coming from Durban. What do you make of their lineup?
As I said, the front row, the front 3, they're ready to go. Now, again, we talk about players having profile pictures. They have a couple of players there where they have profile pictures too. So still early in their season. And you know what I mean? There's another big game for this South Africa on Saturday as well. So, attention is going to be everywhere. But I do think, if they can start well, ghosts of last week start creeping back in to Leinster, and I do think they fancy a big opening 20, big pressure on our scrum, and I do feel they're going to take a shot at it. But they're good all around the pitch. If last week didn't happen, if this is a mid-season game, you're kind of going, right, it's a Leinster win. It's just how far away are we going to get? I don't know. Again, maybe under caffeinated, but they're coming here ready to rock. Again, similar. They have a free shot. Leinster were a little bit wounded. I'm not worried, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean the Sharks were the last team we played before everything went pear-shaped right at the end of last season.
Mm.
We bet them comfortably enough in the quarterfinal. Now that was earlier in the season. They were one of the teams that really had a go at us.
Yeah.
They were ahead a couple of times, even in the second half, until we pulled away towards the end. So they do know how to give us a go. And although Munster had a similar experience against them last week, I mean they were ahead for most of the match, but there was a couple of times this side can just put 14 points on you, no problem, if you're not careful. So if you don't keep an eye on things, so we're really gonna. I really think it's going to be key that we get off to a really strong start on Saturday, and because they like you say they'll fancy it if they as they go through the match, if they're still in it, they will fancy nicking a result from us.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we'll have a look at the officials now, and it's Federico Vedavelli is the referee with his Joy Neville among his assistants there. The weather for D4 on Saturday is not looking great. We got a bit used to that Parisian weather over the past while. It's cloudy and breezy with heavy showers, 94% rain, good bit of wind. So if you're going to the RGS, be sure to bring the rain gear. And but before we move on, there is of course a lot of other rugby on this weekend with the World Cup, the URC, among other things. There is really only one other match to be looking forward to. But what's the one for you?
That's right. The only other match to look forward to is Connacht and Glasgow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's no other rugby on Saturday at all. No, I'm interested to see what happens, especially after watching Leinster last week. How Connacht go against Glasgow. Connacht are home, I think. Are they home
Yep.
tomorrow? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see because we know the sports ground is going to be filled. We know it's going to be windy. We know there's going to be horizontal rain, possible snow, and it'll be interesting to see what the weather in Glasgow is pretty bad as well. But I want to see how Connacht get on. I love that team. I love their players. And it'll be interesting to see how they do, considering Glasgow probably have their backs up a little bit. They're ready to rock. So that'll be the other one I'll be watching tomorrow.
Excellent. And that brings us on to your prediction for Leinster against the Sharks. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I filled in my super brew. I need to get that jersey out of the building. So I'm not massively. I'm confident, but I'm not going for massive scores. So I said Leinster. I think +7. I think I had us +10 last week. I was 30 points off. So I think +7 tomorrow. Just get the win with a performance.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not a given, but it is, like we say, it is definitely doable. So they can, if the right players can step up, and if we get there were a couple of leadership issues as well last week, a bit of indecision at times when we needed it. So if we can get all that going in front of the home crowd, it's definitely doable. Okay. Of course, we also want to wish the Irish women the best of luck for their third and final match in the inaugural WXV tournament. They are competing in the third tier, which is being held out in Dubai. They have a 100% record so far, scoring over a point a minute, but they still need another win to clinch promotion, and Spain are likely to pose a much bigger challenge. So check it out if you can. Kickoff is on Saturday at 2 p.m., and you can watch them on Rugby Pass TV, which is totally free. Okay, before we wrap things up, Keego, what stand-up gigs do you have lined up down the road? I hear you're going international.
We are indeed. Before we do that tonight, we're in town on Georgia Street. We are. There's a few of us joining the Bag of Cats improv group, doing a bit of stand up in there. I will be dressed up. I'll be dressed up as Ariana Grande's elder sister, Ariana Venti. So that's going to be a sight to behold.
I see what you did there. Very good.
Therapy actors. I'm going for the Starbucks crowd. But we're flying out to the States tomorrow. A couple of gigs in New York on Monday and Tuesday. And then I spend the rest of the time with the family because I'm already in trouble. But we're in the comic strip, Gotham Comedy Club, and the Comedy Cellar next week. So we'll see how they appreciate Irish humor. So hopefully all of Ireland is going to show up. But yeah,
leave no discount on the door for all our New York listeners. So
absolutely, you're all
I'm sure they'll all be there, and if there's room, provided, just once there's room. Well, listen, good, best of luck with that, Keego, and thanks for harping, and also to you all for tuning in to our latest preview show. Enjoy the match wherever you are. Be sure to follow us on all our usual social media channels. We will, of course, have a wrap pod for you recording on Sunday evening, and hopefully you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.